Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this season finale. We have finales, guys. Like, who are we? This is amazing. Welcome back, though, to the season finale of season 2 of the Leslie Does Wellness podcast. I have a friend. You see, I got friends in almost every episode, which is great. This is my dear friend, Marie Armitage, and I have been connected with her now for about a year and change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Okay. Okay. Good. I was like, time has been weird since, 2020. So it's just like, what is time?
exactly.
Yeah. But we are going to talk about the final letter. If you've been following along, we opened up with B, which was be gentle. Then we talked about R, and we went all the way through the Breathe Deep framework, which is a framework I have used as a new mom to transform my own life, to put myself first. So this is all of the things I've done. So if I have any friends or people that are like, how, Leslie, how? Listen to the podcast. This is how I have found to put myself first. This is what works for me. And I know there is somebody out there that this will help. So today we're going to be talking about the final letter, which is E, which is evaluate. So before we get into that, I want you to introduce yourself to the people. So take it away.
Hello. Thank you, Leslie, for having me. I am honored. I'm so excited to be here for the season finale of season 2. And I'm super proud of you for bringing this framework to so many moms out there. I wish this was here for me when my 14-year-old twins were munchkins because getting those reminders to breathe and rest and allow ease into my life and allowing the feelings and taking my time and having fun, and then just taking a minute to evaluate all of those things. Oh my gosh, Leslie, thank you for bringing this message to the world. It's fantastic. um, who I am a life coach and a speaker. And what I do is I help women who have a desire to change the world with their businesses go from wherever they are to a seven-figure business with ease, joy, and fun. So taking that ease piece that you're talking about for moms and helping those professional women or female entrepreneurs to bring that into their work life too. So they can harmonize their personal life, their professional life, and their home life in a way that um, that isn't difficult, that collapses time. So,
I
yeah.
love that part. Thank you, Marie. I love that, the whole collapsing time. For also, Marie didn't mention this, but we were connected by a life coach, Hina Khan, and we're both certified as Khan method coaches. So it's beautiful to just see how Marie has evolved, and now I can like take her into the fold of this space. And just I love also that I'm able to create opportunities because, like Marie said, she is a speaker. So if you're interested in hiring her to speak, please, her information will be at the bottom of the of this episode. So I'm just really thankful that I can bring you on so you can just share all of the wonderfulness that you've been doing. And if you didn't catch, she does have twins. So let's just get into that. So you are a mom, obviously, because you got twins.
Yep.
Do you have any other kids, or just not just the twins, but like, do you have any other
Oh,
kids?
yeah, it was just the twins. And honestly, the way that it happened, so I'm the youngest of five kids, and I wanted to have a big family. I also wanted to have 4 to 6 kids. I wanted an even number. Um, but I had a really hard pregnancy and I was on partial bed rest like from 21-ish weeks on. And so and then I had preeclampsia. There were a lot of issues. So we have the two. I'm healthy, they're healthy. We're like, okay, God, we will
Yeah,
adopt if you open the doors. And we have lots of their friends who are like
right.
additional children for me. So and I'm a Girl Scout troop leader, so I adopt kids everywhere.
I love that. it's funny actually. The first episode of this season, my friend also has twins. So I just realized we opened with twin mom and we're closing with a twin mom. I didn't realize how many friends I had with twins. And I'm right there with you though. I love even numbers. I have two kids as well. They're not twins, but they actually, a lot of people are like, are they twins? And I was like, no, oh God, no. Uh so I is one kid in utero is enough and one labor is enough. You're doing two labors technically.
Yeah.
So I would love for you, this kind of is going a little different way, but because I'm also a registered nurse, it's really important that on this podcast, on my platform, that I talk about, if this is okay with you, because Marie is Black. Like, you're, if you want to
Yeah.
share your heritage, go share your heritage really quick before I
Okay.
start.
Yeah. So, my mom is Ethiopian and my dad is a white Texan. So I'm Texiopian or Ethiopian or African American. Um, and they got married just a few years after Loving v. Virginia. And
Mm,
so, me and my siblings were pretty much, we were like at the front end of the wave of biracial or multiracial
yeah,
children who are
yeah.
born in the United States. So all growing up, it was very much the oh, and my dad was in the military. So we moved every 18 months to 3 years, I think was the longest we lived in one place. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was every time we would move, people are like, so what are you? So
Yeah,
where are you from? And all of
right.
that. And then there was actually one city that we lived in Oregon where my mom was the Black lady. And so when I went to school, it was like, oh, so your mom's the Black lady. The
Yeah, yeah,
like that's how many people there were. Um,
yeah.
so that was fun. But yeah,
Yeah. I wanted you to thank you for sharing that. My kids are also biracial, so I really like to hear adults who are biracial. Specifically, this might be a little biased, but uh people that their mom is Black. Because I feel like it can be different. Anyways, not going to go down that rabbit hole. But I wanted
yeah,
to say this. You mentioned that your birth story, that you had preeclampsia. And as a Black women, we are more likely to die in childbirth. So I appreciate you sharing how you had to be on bed rest from like 21 weeks. That's very early. That's halfway through. You had 20 more weeks to go.
yeah.
And thankfully, both you and your children were healthy. But I'd love for you to just share, what was it like having to be on bed rest, being a Black woman? Like, do you identify, like, I didn't know we were going to go this way, but we're going this way.
Let's
How do
do it.
you choose to identify?
I always check off both black and white,
Yeah.
always. And when people ask me, I say that I'm African American or Ethiopian American. Um, Depending on the Ethiopian, sometimes they will recognize it and sometimes they won't. My kids, and then I start speaking with them in Amharic and they're surprised. It's wonderful.
Oh.
Um, my kids, I made it a point for them to actually go to Ethiopia. So when
Mm,
my husband and I were just starting to date and we started seeing that it was going down the path of this may be a forever relationship, I
yeah.
remember the conversation where I told him how important my heritage is to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, my children are going to Ethiopia and
Mm-hmm.
Amharic and the Ethiopian culture is going to be part of their childhood. And we made it a point that when they were 10 years old, it ended up being when they were 11, that we went to Ethiopia and we spent 3 weeks with my mom's kids or with my mom's family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only one of my siblings who has gone back to Ethiopia. Three of
Oh.
my siblings were actually born in Ethiopia, but I'm the only one who actually got to go back.
Oh.
Um, and so my children met aunts and uncles and
Mhm.
cousins, and it was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. And that's part of who they are. So um So I made sure that their middle names are Ethiopian
Mm.
or actually spelled that way too, so that
Ah.
when if they're older and they choose to go by their middle names instead of their first names, it'll be much easier for them. My name sounds so European, it's ridiculous. It's like Marie Armitage. It's like French first name, Welsh last name. It doesn't even. And then my dad's last name is Barrington. So it's Marie Barrington Armitage. That doesn't help.
Oh, yeah, no.
So no, it doesn't. People are like, what?
Ah, I love
So
that. I didn't know all of this. Like, why would I never ask? So,
yeah.
thank you for
Isn't that
sharing that.
funny? Yeah.
Yeah, but I appreciate that you incorporate your heritage into your children. Like, it's all about like generational, because I feel like when we hear generational, like, oh, generational trauma, but that's something that you can positively incorporate in your kids' lives. So going back to having your kids. So you have twins, and let me just look up my question so I stay on track. Um, so here we go. Do you remember the first 2 weeks, like when you brought the twins home? Do you
Oh,
remember?
yeah. So the first week we were still in the hospital because I couldn't stop bleeding. So we were in the hospital for, I want to say for 5 nights, because of me, not because of the babies. And my daughter was in ICU for a few days. So it was a pretty, they were pretty close to full term for twins. They were 36 and a half weeks. So it, yeah, I was I'm super grateful for the support that I had nearby, um, that helped me so that I could stay in bed and so that that could happen. But I still had all of those issues. Um, so when I first came home, I was basically in bed. And I asked my husband, I asked everybody who came to visit if they would please take lots of pictures because I knew I wouldn't remember it. So I honestly don't remember the very beginning. The,
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I love that you did that though, because your kids are 14, right?
yep,
That was 14 years ago, like
yeah,
before like well, dang, social media's been around for a long time, but that was probably the
yeah,
beginning, right?
yeah.
So what made you, because you said two things, and this is the reason I have this podcast, because I
Hmm.
want new moms to know that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
So I heard you say you asked for help because you said you had a great support system, and then you said take a lot of pictures. What made you know to do those things?
Oh, that's actually really cool. So when you are a twin mom, there are groups, clubs around. So if you are pregnant with twins, high recommendation, just Google twin club near me. And so I was part of Fort Worth Moms of Multiples. So it was FW Mom. And um, I was actually part of a small group of women who were all due the same one month that I was due. And all of us had twin babies growing on us. So from the time, this is a huge, like it's a metroplex, right? So they'd been around for a really long time. So there was a whole system in the way that they set things up. And so older moms of older twins sort of mentored the groups, the pods of women who had babies growing in them. And then we would meet and we would talk. But that was a piece of advice that one of the twin moms gave us was she said, and it's the unsolicited advice that I give to all my friends who are pregnant, is no matter how gross you think you look, no matter how much you don't like your body, get people to take pictures of you with your baby because you'll take pictures all the time. Your phone will be filled with pictures of your partner with your kids, with strangers with your kids on swings, with your kids holding each other's hands, with your kids with food, all of these pictures of them. But you're part of this story too. And your kid thinks you're beautiful, and your kid, you are the most wonderful thing to them. That's why their face lights up when you walk into the room. So getting pictures of you with them
Yeah.
Super important. And then for your daughters and your sons to have a healthy image of what that looks like when they're older, so that when they're
Mm.
parents, they can see,
Mm.
oh yeah, mom wasn't always put together with
Mm.
her lashes and her hair done,
Right.
and her clothes didn't always look matchy
Right.
matchy. Some days she was just wearing her slippers and a big pair, like dad's sweatpants were on,
Yeah.
and a shirt, and she's holding me, you know,
Right.
holding two kids and just like,
Holding two. Yeah, you were
you
holding
know,
two.
I was
Yeah.
holding
No,
two.
I was not holding. Well, no,
Yeah,
I lied because they were 9 months apart. So I
you
like
were.
it's still I was holding two as well. But
Yeah.
that, oh my gosh, you just said okay. I've heard take the pictures, make sure you're in the pictures, and I've been really good about that too. Like I'm like Jamie, like my husband, I'm like take a picture of me with the kids, like like
Hmm.
I think also as a mom too, I've been good of like oh these are good moments to capture in time, but I
Yeah.
never thought if my kids choose to be parents, they need to have some kind of image of like what I looked like, so then they know. Like you said that so beautifully, and I never. Sorry, I'm like yelling. Sorry, I never.
You're
Um,
excited. It's
I'm
okay.
excited. And my son, like I shared before we hit record, is right next to me, wanting me to like itch his entire body. So I'm like also scratching
Oh,
him,
buddy.
anyways. But I really like that you said that because again, this podcast is specifically for the new moms that are
Yeah.
like in the thick of it. They're in that first 2 weeks. Like those are the moms that I'm talking to
Yeah.
right now. So I really appreciate you saying that because my hopes is that they pull out that camera. Like that's what I want you to do if you're listening. Like and you have that baby and you feel gross. I want you to take the selfie with you and your baby. Like you don't have to post it. You don't got to post
You
it
don't have to
anywhere.
post it. No, don't post.
Yeah.
You don't have to post it. And you don't have to feel guilty about the way you feel about your body or the way that you
Mm.
feel about your day or about what your kid is eating or if you're able to breastfeed or you aren't able to breastfeed or one of
Mm.
the most amazing moms in our group, in our little pod, she was a nutritionist and these were her first
Oh.
kids. And so she had gone to Baylor or something like that. So she was helping all of us make sure we were eating the right things and was talking about all the things she was going to do for her kids. She could not breastfeed her babies for anything. She tried
Oh.
so hard. She went to specialists, lactation specialists, the universities nearby, tried to figure out a way because she was convinced she's like, breast milk is the best milk. And so she was
Right.
trying to, and she couldn't.
Mm.
And I remember how defeated she felt because the rest of us are here and we're breastfeeding during, like mommy did play dates or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And her babies had GERD and there was a lot going on. I remember encouraging her at that time and I remember putting myself in her shoes. And so if you're somebody who is sitting and listening to this and going, like this is so much harder than I thought it was going to be and I had a vision, I went to school for this, or it's okay. Whatever you do, your babies like I said a little bit earlier, you are their world. They are just happy that you're near them, that you're kissing them, that you're holding them, that you're there. That's all they care about.
Wow, that is you're just bringing all this stuff, Marie. And I want to say this, everybody, too. I gave Marie the questions like an hour ago, and she's bringing like her game right now because I feel like that's also really important because both of us being like having careers outside of our passion, right? Marie is a
Mhm.
project manager by day. I'm a registered nurse by day. And having these titles, I'll speak for myself, having the title of being a registered nurse and going through like my mental health struggles postpartum, there was a lot of shame. I had a lot of
Yeah.
shame because I'm in the healthcare profession. I shouldn't be feeling like having these thoughts, about wanting to harm my child, like that kind of right. Those were the things that were going through my brain. So when it comes to breastfeeding, that's something that's also very challenging. And for her to be a nutritionist and like,
Yeah.
I could only imagine Like, because breast milk is the best, it's the best. And ideally, if you are able, but like, you as the mommy have to be, make sure you and the mommy are taking care of yourself. And if you're not able, I don't
Yep,
even say can't, if you're not able to breastfeed, that doesn't make you less than. Because I feel like
exactly.
that's still something that is so like, because I remember for me, I was just like, I tried so hard. I did breastfeed like 4 to 6 months for both of them. But once I got back to work, it was too much. I couldn't, like, I was pumping at my desk and it was just, ah,
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a whole thing. Yeah,
yeah.
it's not. There's a lot of judgments. It's very, very hard to look at. I shouldn't say it's hard because it can be easy, but we are at the same time receiving so many messages from the outside from the time that we're little on
Yep.
how to be a mom, what
Yep.
to do as a mom. And during those first 2 weeks, oh, there was another thing that happened to me. So I was working full time all the way up until I gave birth. But during the last, like from the time that I went on bed rest at 21 weeks, they told me that, I could just bill however many hours I was actually working. I was like big baby, laying down on the bed with the laptop sitting on top of my big belly
Yep.
and, like working, trying to help. At the time, I was actually onboarding um, small churches onto a software as a service. That's what I was doing. So I'm like meeting with these people and helping them work through how to implement a computer management, a church management system, church management software.
Oh.
And some weeks I was working 8 hours and some weeks I was working 35, but my company was like, it's fine, we'll just pay you your hours. Then I give birth. And 2 weeks after I give birth, they contact me and they're like, okay, so when you come in, you could work in the receptionist desk. And I said, all right, well, I'm on maternity leave. So I'll see you guys in a few months. And I said, actually, you used up all your maternity leave.
Oh, so the billable thing.
The
That's
billable thing, they were
mm,
taking away the other hours. So that caused,
mm,
this was a little bit past 2 weeks, but that caused a depression for me because I had this whole, like before I left, and it wasn't, I shouldn't say depression because I don't want to minimize what postpartum
I
is
understand.
by
Yeah, yeah.
this. But for me, my identity was I had my MBA, this was my
Mm,
job, this is what I do. And I had been arguing at this company that I am
mm,
going to come back after I have the twins. We've got this whole thing figured out. And so this was just sort of I was so down after that.
mm,
And my spouse is like, look, we are we are okay right now. We had downsized once we found out that we were pregnant to a much smaller home. Um, and and he's like, right, part of the reason why we did that is because we wanted to be able to live off one income just in case we
right.
chose to do that. So we can. And I need you to get well because he was more worried about my health after the
Yeah.
blood pressure and everything else.
Yeah.
So he's like, look, I don't care about this company. I care about you and I need you around.
Right.
The kids need you around. And
But
so
that's
that was a
hard
whole
though,
other, yeah,
because that's part of 2 episodes ago. Yeah, I was talking with a therapist and she mentioned because but you don't realize that you're going through another transition when you're pregnant. At least I didn't. I'll just speak for
yeah,
me. I'm
I
just
didn't
like,
either.
I'm still working. Like what you said, I'm like, I'm still working. I'm doing my thing. My husband's like, you need to sit down. You need to sit down. Thankfully, I didn't have any blood pressure. Like I didn't have any issues with my pregnancy. But I was like, I'm not pregnant. Like I was in this mentality. It was the weirdest. It was denial. So we learned a couple weeks ago, 2 episodes ago, about matrescence, which is like, you know how we go through puberty, right? And
Hmm.
that's like a transition. When you become a mom, there's something called matrescence, which is just another it's transitioning into motherhood. And so there's a lot that goes into that, and you feel like you're grieving like your past life, and you're
Yeah,
losing part of your identity, and you can't bring it back. So like that's what I hear you saying when that happened to you, because that it's okay to
it did.
say that you were depressed. Like I feel like even if it wasn't, because that's something else too, like I wasn't diagnosed with postpartum depression, but I had thoughts, like I had suicidal thoughts and thoughts of wanting to harm my daughter, right? So I feel like there's more of us like that than the people that are diagnosed with postpartum depression, if you feel what I'm saying. Like we, and people
I
like us,
do.
we need to talk more. We need to talk more. It needs to
Yes.
continue to be brought to the light. Like, and that's what's also important to me, why I like to talk on here, is because I want moms to know, like, speak up no matter what. Like, don't wait till it's like a severe moment. You get what I'm saying? So
Yes.
yeah.
Don't wait till you don't have any other option but to get help. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's always an option for you. There are
That,
always,
yes.
yes, it's always an option. There are always people who care about you. It may not feel like, you know, okay. And then there's the whole thing about all the attention, and I was excited about this, but for other people, the attention goes away from you now. I'm no longer Marie, I am my kid's mom. You know, like that's who you are. They even said that to us in the hospital. They're like, just so you know, you will forever be known as mom and dad. And if I get the genders wrong on your kids, all babies are the same with diapers on. Just don't worry about
Yeah.
correcting us. Notice that we are taking care of them. You
Right.
know,
I
it's
love it.
just, it's so, anyway, but yeah,
Yeah.
totally. There's people who care about you. There are organizations out there to help you. And I so appreciate that that conversation too is coming to the forefront about the number of women who like that. There's hormonal changes. There are,
Yes.
and there's no shame in it. There was
Mhm.
my pooch, my mommy tummy
Yeah.
is something that as even as my kids were getting older, I referred to it as my mommy tummy and I said, I earned this.
I like that.
I raised you guys. This is where you grew.
Hmm.
I earned this, like my little pooch. Like,
I
so
like
I love
that.
it. So I'm like, so I love it. Fast forward a few years later. So they're 5 years old. We're at a theme, or yeah, 4 or 5 years old. We're at like one of those water park theme park places. And my kids, and I wore a two-piece,
Hmm.
tankini type of thing where it was
Hmm.
just showing like barely showing my underbelly, like around
Right.
the belly button area. My
Hmm.
kids ran up to me and they both started kissing my belly. And they're like, "We used to live there." We're waiting in line to get on a slide. And they're like, "We used to live there. We love our mom's mommy tummy." And I'm just going,
Oh,
"Thank you."
yeah.
Okay. I'm like, "Oh, that's sweet. Okay, now it's getting weird, guys. You got to stop." I'm like,
I lo-
I love you, but please stop kissing mommy's bare skin at this swimming pool.
where
It's
people,
not cute.
yeah. And so that's the thing. It's like some things stay in the house, guys. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
I feel that. Oh my goodness. I want to go back to community, because that's,
Yes.
I hear with everything you're saying, and knowing you, community is very important to you. So
Yes.
I love how you've had community. So I want to ask, like, the question was like, it says it takes a village to raise children. Like, how did you find your community? I know you said like Google, like you told us what to, Google like mom groups,
Right.
but so you had that support. Who told you? That's what I'm trying to ask. Who told you to like go and get that support from those mom groups? Like, how did you know to do that?
I think they told me at the hospital when I first found out that I had the twins. They said to Google, um, twin mom communities or a twin mom group. And so that's how I found him. He's okay. And
Thanks.
so he's so cute. I wish
Right.
mine had the big foreheads and they were like, oh, just coming over to cuddle me. Um, but yeah, that they were the ones who pointed me in that direction. A
Okay.
lot of churches have mom's day out, which is
Mm,
free. Generally, it's a free program where the church will watch your kids for a couple of hours and then you can go and take a nap or go to
um,
wander around Target or whatever
mm-hmm,
you need to do in order to get just some mommy time.
mm-hmm.
Um, there's also I'm trying to think of other communities. There was a period, I don't know if this is important or not, but I was shortly after I was diagnosed with lupus.
Yes, I want to get into
So
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the tricks that I used was I joined the local YMCA because the
Uh-huh.
YMCA will watch your kids for 2 hours at a time and it's included in your membership. And so
Mm,
I would just go there, give them my babies, and then I would go into the place where you got coffee and there were sofas and I would sit
mm.
and I would do nothing.
Emphasis.
Um,
Okay, let's put a pin in that because I want you to emphasize you, which we're friends, so it makes sense.
yeah,
You emphasize rest a lot too. So community, rest, like these are ways that I know
community
I.
rest. Yeah, and finding those. Oh, and then the other was like the moms groups like MOPS.
Oh
So
yeah.
MOPS is good too. And again, that's at churches and they have moms of preschoolers. They will
Mm-hmm.
babysit your kids while you get put in a little group, and they almost always have an older mom who sits at the table with you, who's
Oh,
like a mentor. And
okay.
then she not only will pray for you, but she also, um, even if you're not somebody who considers themselves religious or necessarily a Christian,
Right.
there's none of those types of requirements to be part of MOPS.
Oh, okay.
So you come and then you sit. I mean, it costs maybe $100 for the year. Um, and that's mainly to pay for like the mm, um the advertising for the
Yeah.
national community. So, um, and then you do like crafts or different things. They have
Yeah.
people come up and talk to you. So there's speakers there.
I
Um,
love it.
but that was really helpful for me too when Munchkins were little and for building that community because it's hard to meet other moms.
It
So
is.
to have that type of place where I could show up completely disheveled and
Mm-hmm.
late with the twins and everybody's just like, we're happy to see you and you're fine. Did you
Right.
shower this week? That's a victory. Like
Mhm.
they
No,
get it.
that
They get
really
it.
is that shower though, because I remember the first time my husband had to go back to work, it was within those 2 weeks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I remember I put my son, who's here now, about to be 5. Oh, sorry. I put my son who's about to be 5, like he's like, yeah, like here. But he was in his like little, like I think it was in the car seat, or he was in some kind of protected seat, and I put him like in a chair in the bathroom, and then I took like my one of my first showers, and I remember the whole time I was like peeking. You good? You good? Like I don't know what he's gonna
Yeah.
do. He was like 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks old, but I was so terrified to take a shower because I was so worried that like I don't know. But as a new mom, you're
You
just
don't
like
know?
he'll fall out of the sea, or is he gonna burp? Like it's just
Yeah.
like yeah.
They just give you this fragile human. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, and their only checkpoint is, does your car seat work? Is it
Yeah,
installed
that's
correctly?
the
Okay,
only
go with God.
literally.
Send him off. That's
And
what.
we didn't see a car seat. We didn't even know how to install the car seat.
Yeah.
So
How are you supposed to know? They don't teach you that. They teach you that in the
stop.
classes if
No.
you go to the classes, but I don't know who had time to go to the classes.
That
I didn't go to the classes. I'm proud of you, moms who are listening to this, who did go to the classes. Good on you.
yeah.
Very proud of you.
Because I didn't either, Marie. We did CPR, and I think also because I'm a nurse, I was like, my husband, I was like, you need to learn how to do CPR, God forbid. But for whatever reason, the car seat thing, we had to like call a friend. We had to FaceTime. Thank God for FaceTime. And we're like, hey, how do we do this? Like, and she had to guide us through that. But okay, so let's
Yeah.
like wrap this up a little bit and let me
Yeah.
go back to my questions. So we talked about community and what I heard you say, because I've had new moms, talk with me and just talk about how much they're struggling. And I've shared that with them too. I'm like, look up mom groups. It's really important. And I like how you said in the hospital, the nurses told you to do that. So you listened and you remembered like to follow through. Because
Yeah.
I want moms to know. I want new moms specifically to know, especially as we close out this season, that there is help out there. And in this day and age, there are so many groups. I've shared this before, but I'll share it again. I'm in a mom group as well, but it's specifically for Black moms. And it's in my community in Orlando, Black Moms of Orlando, and it's a Facebook group. And I had a mommy mentor who is the founder of the group community now. And there's over 3,000 of us, 3,000 Black moms in that group. And it really is like the most
Yeah.
heartwarming thing. And it really was part of the reason it saved my life and just didn't help me feel crazy. And I don't know. I just say there is help out there. You have to put yourself out there and you have to speak up. So that's why
Yeah.
I asked in the beginning, like, Marie, how do you know how to ask for help? Because a lot of Black women, a lot of women of color, we think we have to do it all by ourselves. And then for
Yeah.
whatever reason, when we become a mom, we super feel like, oh, I have to do this all by myself. But that is so far from the truth. When you become a mom, if anything, you need that community. You have to have people, your husband, people outside of your husband or your partner too, because you can't put everything on them. You
Right.
have to have, the outside groups that Marie mentioned. Um, so yeah. Is there anything else you want to say with that before we like, close
Yeah.
up a little bit?
The other piece is for me, I think part of the reason why I did open my mouth so much is because in my childhood, we moved so often that I had the mentality of be here and be bright, and then you're gone. Like that's basically what happens. Just go out, open your mouth, be friends with who you can be friends with, and then the and then you move on. Like whoever stays, stays. And then the people who don't stay, they don't stay. And so the risk for me wasn't as high as somebody who might be more introverted, um, or somebody who has whatever judgments on themselves is just feels uncomfortable doing that. Um, so I highly recommend looking up some of those groups, looking and seeing if there are any, whatever you identify, if there's an Indigenous moms group, if there's a people of color moms group, if there's just moms, just face Facebook look up moms groups in the area, um, and see what you can find, and you will find your people, you'll find your squad. Just keep talking because there are so many of us out there. Um, who are also looking for people to connect with and even summer play dates or those types of things. Say, hey, I'm planning on doing this. Are there any other
Right.
moms who want to come and meet me at the park? And somebody might come.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to the park anyway, but
Yep.
maybe there's another mom who want to come and see you or meet you.
Yeah.
And it's like dating though. So
It
sometimes it feels a little
is.
uncomfortable because you're like, yeah, you're not my people, but
And it
it's
might
nice to
take
meet you.
time.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the
Yeah.
thing. I love that you brought that up because it is like dating and it can be uncomfortable in the sense that, especially if you're somebody maybe that like you've not had a lot of partners, up until, you know what I mean? So you're like, I don't do this a lot or whatever, but I want you to
Yeah.
know not to get discouraged. So like you,
Yeah.
you find the mom group and maybe you don't vibe with those women. That's okay. Don't stop. Like keep
Don't give up.
looking. Yeah.
Don't give
Um,
up. Yeah.
don't give up. Okay, we're going to talk about your lupus diagnosis, but this last question I want to ask you, I ask everybody this is, did you want to be a mom?
We did. We waited. Okay. So we waited 5 years to have kids because we wanted to play. And we figured it was better to play when you're young, dual income, no kids, than later and have to wait for retirement and go play. So, um, and I had a lot of friends with fertility issues. So I thought it was going to be a while before we got pregnant. And we got pregnant right away with twins spontaneously. Um, so I was in shock almost the entire pregnancy. And my husband was thrilled because his dad is a twin and there were no other twins born in his generation. So they just didn't think any were going to be born. Um, in like that it was ending, there were no more twins. So so yeah, it was I wanted to be a mom.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love asking that question because I just love hearing the different stories and to know that you guys it was planned for you to take 5 years, your first 5 years of being together to just learn each other. I feel like that's
Hmm.
very important
Yeah.
because once you become a mom and you know your partner becomes a parent, you're learning each other again.
Yeah.
And so that's beautiful. Okay, let's see. Okay, so two more questions. You mentioned that after you had your children is when you were diagnosed with lupus. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Do you want to briefly just talk about, like, just share a little bit about what that was like being diagnosed, having twins? Like, how old were your kids?
They were 18 months old ish. We had just moved from next door to my sister in Texas to to the Pacific Northwest for my husband's job. And I was exhausted and I thought that this was just a case of the twins. Like that's, you're exhausted. Yeah, you have twins. Of course you're exhausted. You're in pain. Every mom's back hurts and is in pain. Um, and finally it got to the point where I just put the kids in a couple inches of water. I'm not going to cry. I cry sometimes when I tell this story, and I'm feeling my neck, mm, stuff welling up. I couldn't take care of them because I hurt so bad and I was so tired. And so I put them in a couple inches of water in the bathtub with toys. And I called my sister-in-law, who's 45 minutes north of us, because my husband wasn't answering his phone at work. And I was like, I can't take care of our babies. I don't know what to do. So she came down to help, and there was through my husband's work, he was working for Microsoft at the time, had a doctor come to our house. And she didn't diagnose me with lupus, but she did say I had a double kidney infection. Both ears were infected. Um, she was, um, I think I had a sinus infection too. She asked me where my pain was on a scale of 1 to 10, and I said probably a 4. And she's like, should be much higher than that. I'm like, I'm always in pain. I don't know what you're talking about. And she referred me to a rheumatologist, and the rheumatologist diagnosed me with lupus. Lupus, fibromyalgia, and ankylosing spondylitis, which is basically arthritis in your back. Um, Thankfully, through early diagnosis and treatment with food, and I'm getting it back together. Food and naturopathic GP, all of the things, throwing it all at it at once. I am in remission now, and I only have to take gabapentin before I go to bed at night now. Um, but everything that they did for me was all medical based, right? except maybe naturopath, which is more holistic, but it's still putting stuff into my body. When my son was diagnosed with pain amplification syndrome a few years later, his team was a team of three, and it was a psychologist, physical therapist, and his GP. And the psychologist helped him with mindset and visualization and all of the things that Leslie, you and I did not learn until we were moms and started and found Hinacon. I'm just saying all of this stuff. I'm like, really? Why didn't they do this for me with
Mm,
lupus? Well, because there, I could go on about that for a bit. And I'm sure you
mm,
could from your nursing background on why they don't talk more about the values of mindset for grown-ups.
yeah,
But but that's a big part of how he got well. And how I am continuing to heal is through mindset
that's
work.
beautiful. It's beautiful how, well, thank you first for sharing that part of
Yeah.
your story.
Yeah.
Especially your kids, they weren't even 2 years old and having
Mm-mm.
twins. But I commend you, like at the base or however you say it, at the bottom of your story or underlying, there we go. The underlying theme of your story is you know when to ask for help.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think enough Black women and women of color know when they need to.
Yeah.
So I commend you for always being like, I need to take a nap, or I need to, like, especially when you were a new mom.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing how you did that and what resources that you used, because there are resources out there. There are resources out there for all of us, especially for Black women. They are out there.
Yes.
And yeah, so this episode is about, evaluating. We just, it's sprinkled in throughout, but
Sprinkled in. Yeah.
hold on.
And that evaluating piece that Leslie and I talked about a little bit earlier was just taking a minute, taking a beat as a mom to think about like what is going well in your life so that you can continue to replicate those things, even if it's dropping your kids off at mom's day out, and going to Target and getting a water from the Starbucks and just taking a minute and saying, you know what? I'm a good mom because I changed their diapers and they're still alive one more day. That was my bar. I don't know if I told you that, Leslie. I had two bars for me each day. Like you want to meet the standard. My standard was, did they eat today? Did I change their diapers today? And are they still alive? And so those were my
So good.
three.
I
Probably
love
are they
it.
still alive should have probably been first. I can't even remember how we said them in order when they were little, but like those were our three. And we're like, they're still alive. We kept them alive one more day, changed their diapers, we fed them. They're okay.
I love that. I don't think
So,
I had bars like that. So
yeah.
I think that's actually good, like a framework, whatever you want to call it for you, for new moms like that are listening, because I feel like we get so caught up in like comparison and
Yeah.
immediately being like, my life doesn't look like this Instagram mom blogger who has like all of the help and all of this, right? You're like, ew, I know. But if you have those bars or like three things that every day that you're doing for your kid, and I would like to say three things for you and three things for the kid, but three things for the kid, like,
Oh,
um oh,
sorry. I
no, you're
lost
good.
I
Oh, we're
lost the
back.
audio.
We're
Okay.
good.
Hi. Okay.
But those three things, like changing it, did you change your diaper? Did you feed them? And what was the other, Marie?
Change their diaper, fed them, and are they still alive?
Are they
End of the
still
day.
alive? And that's it. Like that, by having that, even writing that down somewhere where you can visually see, like on your fridge, I feel like that will help. I'm gonna always bring it back to yoga, but really will help you stay grounded as a
Yes.
mom
Yes.
because you're not like constantly feeling like you're running this hamster wheel, or you know what I mean, where you're just like, why don't I feel like I can't catch a break? And the reason you may feel like that is because you haven't written down like your day to day, and I know that can be overwhelming. So just write those three things. I changed a diaper. Did I feed them? Are they alive? And the alive one kind of puts things into perspective, because you're like, yeah, they're crying their head off right now, like, yes, they are
Yay,
alive.
they're building up their lungs. Yay!
Yes,
Good
exactly.
job. Mommy's going over here. You're fine. I already checked you. You're fine. And then you
Yes,
walk with confidence. And then they go, oh, I
right.
guess, you know.
Yeah,
And if their diaper is, when I say change their diaper, I don't mean like the second that their diaper is wet, because
oh
you
yeah,
can
no,
imagine that's
no.
not going to happen. And honestly, for me, that was setting myself up for success, because my kids are like, oh, yay, because now I can go in a nice clean diaper because they're not done, you know?
Yes,
So
yes. Yeah, no, when you said the diaper, I was like, wait, I wait longer than
I
I
wait
should
till it's
since then.
full, till it was
Mm-hmm.
full. It was nice and squishy. And then I was like, all right. And
Yep.
by that, you could tell I did not do, I had twin mom friends who were doing the cloth diapers, and I called them
Oh,
super women. And
wow.
I did not, do not
That's
compare
awesome.
myself with them. Um, we can celebrate one another too as moms, and we could tell each other, you're doing a
Mm,
great job,
mm,
and admire each other and say, that's
mm,
fantastic. And I'm proud of you. And you're doing a good job. And hey, send a text message. I was thinking about you. I love you. Just, those little messages to each other. Um, just those types of things. I got that message the other day from a friend, from a relatively new friend who just said, "Hey, I just
mm.
wanted to tell you I love you today. I hope you're having a
I
good day."
love those.
And I'm just going, "Thank you."
Yeah,
It's not asking for anything, because the last thing we want to do as moms is give one another more stuff.
right.
And I think that's part of the not wanting to ask for help, is feeling like if anybody else is as overwhelmed as I am, I don't want to give them more
Mm,
things to do because they're
mm,
busy
mm-hmm,
too.
mm-hmm,
Mm, some of my closest friends from that MOPS group were single moms. I have
mm.
no clue how they did it,
I don't
other
either.
than they had to asking for help. And honestly, now looking back, the times when I was thriving the best was when I asked for help. Those
Mm,
times when I was sinking, I can almost draw a straight line to keeping my mouth shut
mm, mm,
and
mm.
thinking I had all the answers, or I just had to white knuckle it, work harder. Because
Yeah.
my mom didn't, my
Mm-hmm.
Black mama did
Mm,
not ask people for help as
yep.
much
Yep.
as, other people asked her for help,
Mm.
because she was
Yeah.
always the giver, you know,
Yep.
wherever we
Yep.
went. So, um,
And
there's
that's
that.
why I commend you, because going back to what you said, and we're going to wrap this up, but going back to what you said in the beginning
Yeah,
of, oh, my train of thought, but pretty much you've always known to ask, oh, how you're like, take pictures so your kids have like a model of what like real parents look like, right?
right,
Um, you didn't have that model from your mom. Like you said, your mom was constantly giving, 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 giving. So like
right.
I again commend you to break that generational curse is
Break it.
what you're
Yeah.
doing. And you're like, I'm gonna ask for help, even though I didn't see my mom do it. I'm not sure, because I'm pretty sure you probably had that question too. Am I allowed to ask for this much help? You know what I mean? Like, what is this? But am I even allowed to speak up? I didn't see my mom do it. Like,
Right.
so you probably were battling that too in your head because
Yes.
you didn't see your mom do it. So I commend you for breaking that generational curse. Like, I think that's beautiful. Um, but anyways, is there anything else? We're gonna close. How many times have I said we're gonna close? So many times, but we're gonna close out this episode, the season finale. And Marie, is there anything else you would like to tell the new mom that is listening?
Um, just, it's okay to give yourself grace at the end of the day before you go to bed. Check in on yourself. Are they still alive? Did you feed them at all? Did you um change their diapers at all? You're a good mom. It's fine. You're doing a good job, mom. And I am doing this summer in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing a 1 hour masterclass um, it's on summer stress busters for moms. So if you'd like more information about that, go to my website. It's Marie, I'm sorry. Let me get my website pulled up because I want to make sure I'm giving you the right sites. But I think it's mariearmitage.com. And it is, yep, it's mariearmitage.com. And there's information about the masterclass there. I don't ever want anybody not to be able to attend because of funds or lack of funds. So please reach out to me on Instagram at Coach with Marie or on LinkedIn. It's Marie Barrington Armitage, and we will work something out because I want to help you get off the struggle bus if that's where you are and have the best summer ever.
Yes. And yeah, I could go on to how Marie helped me shift my mindset with my son. It's his first summer. So we're about to do some outside things. And Marie, thank you again so much for being on this last episode. Maybe if we have another season, we'll talk more because there's so many great like juicy things that you said, but for sake of time and before my son, loses his mind, we are going to sign off. So thank you so much everybody for listening. Please in the chat or the wherever you are listening, watching this, let me know what resonated with you. If you want to work with Marie, all of her contact information is below. And thank you for listening this season. Farewell.